What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Overtime Fantasy, where we go beyond the whistle to give you everything you need to end your opponent's dreams of making the fantasy playoffs.
Absolutely.
Playoffs?
Yeah, you said playoffs.
Playoffs?
Playoffs?
You
want to talk about playoffs?
You kidding me?
Playoffs?
I hear people.
Who's all making the playoffs? Dan, you are on the cusp in both leagues that I'm playing with you in.
This week is a vital week for me.
Phil, you're in my league. You're in pretty much, right?
First. He's in
And
first.
I'm in
Is he in
place.
first? Okay,
Yes.
so you're in, and then in Brian's league, you are, shout out Brian Shalamian,
I'm in
you're close.
I'm fifth
You're
right
in
now.
fifth. And
These next 2 weeks are pretty pertinent for me.
yeah, you need to win at least 2 of the next 3 games to have a chance. Like, that'll get you in with points. If you win all 3, you're in guaranteed.
Absolutely.
Tyler, you're on the cusp too.
Nah, he's
I'm on
in my
fifth.
league.
I took
You
three losses in a row.
Yeah, you got a good team. Your team
I've
is
been-
too good to be where you're sitting at
I've
right
been
now.
averaging like 130, 140 points, and I'm losing by like 10 points,
Yeah.
5 points.
Yeah, that's rough. Like, for you to put up as many points as you put up last week and take that L, that hurts.
160 points.
wow.
Yeah.
I hate those weeks, too.
I am on the outside looking in my league, which is always how that goes.
You're
for
tied
me.
with Dan and I.
Yeah, which is bad because my team is terrible. You know, I had the Jerick McKinnon pick in the beginning of the year. Rob Gronkowski is not doing Rob Gronkowski type things. Like, my team is just not looking good, which is okay because you know that league only pays out $200 to the winner. My 2 $1,000 payouts, I'm in first in one and I'm in second in the other. I have a pretty decent team that could take me through the playoffs into the championship. Only if they perform. So I'm really hoping that happens.
Yep.
Well, we could have all gone without knowing how great his fantasy teams are. Huh?
That's all I wanted to do was just rub that in your face.
It's just
a
like, hey,
little bit.
I'm not really that great in low money leagues, but in the high dollar ones, I'm pretty awesome.
pretty awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
first place in my $1,000 league.
Wow. Another.
Cool.
Nah,
All right, so what we're going to
whatever.
talk
I made
talk about tonight.
Well, all right. Well, as you can tell, we're all here. No
sure
need to
are.
introduce us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you should know us by now. So tonight's show, we'll do some stuff that's different from the previous shows. Before we start, we have a couple like fun facts that we'll kind of just briefly talk about, like some stats that kind of stood out. We'll also dive into last night's game, briefly talk about that. Start sits, and we'll do a different take instead of the Kinder's Kings and Phil's flops. And with playoffs right around the corner, we'll discuss a little bit of the playoff strategy. And instead of the fantasy stud of the past, we're going to do the fantasy dud of the past in honor of Le'Veon Bell. So what do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Le'Veon Bell this year is a straight-up fantasy dud. You drafted him in the top 4 to 5 picks, and he didn't play a single down. And the worst part about Le'Veon Bell, which, you know, for my fantasy dud, you were able to drop him early in the season. The worst part about Le'Veon Bell is the fact that you had to hold on to him for 10 weeks to find out, like, oh, okay, he's droppable now.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's players like that, man, like it's a very high risk, very high reward. You know, sometimes it just doesn't pan out. But you know, if he were to come back in time for the fantasy playoffs, then you know, getting him in a trade would be like a genius move. But that's how fantasy football works.
I'm just really glad because, you know, when he said that he was going back to Pittsburgh, I immediately put a trade in for David Johnson to get Le'Veon Bell. And Kevin did not accept it right away,
that's
so
right.
I ended up
Wow.
canceling it.
That's right. I remember you talking about that.
And I was like, "Oh, he's going back to Pittsburgh. I'm gonna snag him just in time for playoff push." And I was like, you know what? Until he says, "Yeah, I'm in," I'm gonna cancel this trade. But it was up for like 3 hours.
Ooh.
But did you guys see what he tweeted like in 2013?
No. What did he tweet?
All right, so he tweeted out, if you are healthy and able to play football and you don't play for a whole year, you don't love the game of football.
Yeah, I
So-
do remember that. Yeah,
It's like, all right, so you mean to tell me that you don't love football anymore? It's just about getting paid for you, obviously.
it's all about. That's why I don't like.
So why would you want to take a chance on a guy like that?
That's the reason. Those type of things right there is the reason why I don't like professional football. Like I like college football. They're playing for a paycheck, and that's exactly what he clearly from his statement he does not love the game of football anymore. He loves that paycheck more.
Yeah. I mean, he's at a point of his career where this is his last paycheck.
Yeah.
So, or not paycheck, but his last like payout.
Last contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? I'm not too bothered by it because what if he were to, come back, play, and then he gets hurt? He's on that franchise tag, and now, Pittsburgh doesn't want anything to do with him, and he can't get that, that large contract, that last contract that he's been, kind of wishing to get.
Yeah.
Right, but then again, you go ahead and pay this guy who's been out of football for a whole year, or 2 years, because you still have to go through another off season,
Yeah.
and then you give him this huge contract, and then he doesn't play it down because he gets hurt. I mean, you can't go into football thinking you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, but I do see why he did it because like what Dan said, like if he got injured, he wouldn't be guaranteed any money. I mean, what have you done with the multi-millions that you've made already? What have you done with all that, and why isn't that enough for you?
Well, he's never had a contract. Like he went off the his rookie contract, and ever since then they've been franchise tagging him. Yeah. So he's looking. Finally, he said, hey, you franchise tagged me the last 3 years. I need to prepare because we've seen what happens with running backs like Dalvin Cook, Deontay Foreman, where they have these injuries where it could change their career. And if he's just going to get franchise tagged year after year, which is 1 year guaranteed, he's looking for that guaranteed long-term contract so he can feel like assured,
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I see where he's coming from with it. I see why he did it, but to me, like, you got to be smart with the money that you are making. He gave up $14 million this year. That's more than I'll ever make. Like, he gave up on that. And if you can't plan that out and do $14 million to last you for the rest of your life, like, you're doing something wrong if you ask me. But like I said, I do see why he fought to get that contract.
Yep. All right, let's move on. I want to hear some of these like crazy stats. I got a few lined up. I can start it if you guys want.
Yeah, go
Please,
ahead. Let's
go
hear
ahead.
it.
All right, this is like a kind of a debate because I asked my brother, was it 102 KJ?
I think it just keeps rising.
Yeah, it might be like 1 million, 100,000 million KJ now. But all right,
100 million kabillion J.
1 billion kajillion bajillion dollars. So I asked the question: who is like taking fantasy out the question? Who's a better running back, Saquon Barkley or Todd Gurley?
Taking fantasy out the question?
Yeah. So I mean, who?
Well, if you ask me, I mean, for Saquon Barkley to do what he's doing with a far worse offensive line than what the Rams have, I think Saquon Barkley could be. I think he's probably the better running back.
I think he's clearly the better running back just because he's a freak of nature. He's one of those guys, he's like a LeBron James, one of the guys that comes around every, 12, 13 years, I mean, that's who he is right now. He's a guy that's, what was he, 5'11", 6 foot? What is he?
No, he's
5'10"?
about. No, I think he's about 6 foot, but like 230.
Okay, so he's 230.
Stopped.
He has a amazing vertical. This guy can jump over a 6 foot, 6 guy. So I don't think it's a question really. I mean that's an easy answer for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think Saquon is probably a more talented running back all around because Todd Gurley's very elusive, fast, and he has great, pass catching abilities. Saquon has that, plus he's a power runner as well.
To me, this is kind of like who was the better running back, Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders. You put Barry Sanders on the Dallas Cowboys, and he has like 3,000 yards rushing a season.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Saquon Barkley reminds me of. of how Barry Sanders did all the work without the offensive line. You know,
like you put Emmitt Smith with the Detroit Lions, and he's not even in the picture.
yeah, I agree.
So that's crazy. I thought at least one of you guys would say Gurley because I said Barkley.
Don't get me wrong, Gurley's a great running back.
Take nothing
but,
away from Gurley
yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
I think Barkley has it by a long shot on this one.
But according to Next Gen Stats, all right, there's a stat that pretty much tells you how often a running back sees a stacked box on every snap. So a stacked box means at least 8 down in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Gurley sees a stacked box on only 9% of his snaps.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I think it was like the 4th or 5th fewest in the NFL.
Yeah.
Holy
Well,
cow.
I mean, with that
Yeah,
with
that's
that
crazy.
type of offense that they run, I mean, they run a 3 wide receiver set every single time, so the box can't be 8 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense.
Saquon Barkley, 20.6%.
Mm-hmm.
So more than doubled.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so that was my argument. It's like, man, he's just doing so much more in New York than Gurley. I give him the slight edge, but obviously they're both awesome.
I think the craziest stat for me is that Khalil Mack has better stats than all the Oakland Raiders defense.
What?
Absolutely.
Please explain that.
He has more sacks.
Okay.
In the entire Raider defense.
Yes.
Interceptions?
He has 1 interception. I don't know if the Raiders even have one.
They have to have one. They have to.
And
It would,
check
you
that-
know,
I'll check
it
that
wouldn't
one.
surprise me if they didn't.
but he has. I was reading an article and they said, "Isn't it crazy that Khalil Mack has better defensive stats than the whole Raiders team?"
That is nuts,
That
man.
is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Good on you, John Gruden.
I got one that I'm just throwing off the top of my head right now because I saw it yesterday. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'm gonna let you guys guess real quick. Who had the best top end speed from last week's games?
Ooh.
Last week?
Let's
Last
see.
week's games.
Tyreek Hill?
Who had the fastest scoring touchdown last week?
I'm gonna have to go with Nick Chubb on that long break.
Okay.
That's a good one because he had plenty of room to
Yeah.
get up to speed, but
I hope
I
you
don't know
guys
if
get
it's
this because it blew my mind when I saw it.
If you say Eli, my mind's blown.
No.
Tom Brady.
I would think it'd have to be someone who broke off a decent,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying
big
to think.
play because you have to get up to that top speed.
Yeah.
I'm stumped, man.
All right, Jeff Driscoll. The backup quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals had a rushing touchdown last week, and he hit 21 miles per hour.
Good night.
He is so good.
I was like, pick him up. Like,
Like, what are the Bengals doing? Start him.
I was like, wait. So Driscoll, he beat Brandon Cooks, Nick Chubbs, and I think it might have been Calvin Ridley or something. It was It was something along the lines of like speed that I never thought would be broke.
Wow.
And Jeff Driscoll comes out and hits like 20.9, 21 miles an hour.
That is so
And the fastest touchdown to this season was Tyreek Hill in like 22.8 something. So
Good night.
yeah, so that's my little stat there.
See, I got one more stat.
It's crazy.
All right, so Andrew Luck wasn't sacked at all last week against the Jaguars.
Fake news.
Like,
Oh no, was he really?
no, he wasn't. He wasn't sacked. Take a guess at when Andrew Luck was last sacked.
Week
Wow.
3.
Um,
I'm just
do you
guessing.
know it? Do you
Yeah.
know it, Tyler? You're
Oh,
a fan, Tyler.
It was in the earlier weeks. I want to say it was week 2.
No, it was week 5.
Okay.
Week 5.
Pretty much.
Are you serious?
Yes.
See, in the first couple games, man, he was getting hit a lot. Like I was starting to worry about like his health because they must have their offensive line coach must have had them bear crawling miles.
Bro, they got him chopping for a
Yeah.
long time.
They're definitely chopping, or they were going to be on scout team.
Yeah.
That
Grab some
offensive
bench.
that offensive line's a lot of rookies
Yeah.
and like second and third year players.
Dude.
So you knew it was going to take time for like to gel, but that talent on that offensive line, it had to click at some point.
we've been talking about Quentin Nelson since before the draft. That block that he did, he got fined for that
I
block.
was about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, he got fined like $23,000 or something. But that block where he come around, just like, I don't know how many times I've done that, but it's been quite a few.
Yeah.
And for him to do it at the pro level, like the best of the best, and just the way he hit that guy, and that guy just ate dirt immediately, was so awesome. I hate the NFL for finding him for that. That is straight bull. That was a perfect block. That is exactly what you want. And he just kept running. He kept moving to the next level, dude. It was awesome.
They were the only reason he got fined is because the Indianapolis Colts, like, they tweeted out the video and they're like, the block heard around the world, and all you heard is him screaming, "Ah!" And you hear that helmet just like hit. I mean, he headbutted, but cleared rocked him. But that's the only reason he got fined. If they didn't share that video, he'd be $27,000 richer.
Well worth it if you ask me.
I'm sure the Colts paid it.
Yeah, they should. That block was amazing, man.
I want to YouTube it now.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good. Like, and what makes it so amazing is he just, as soon as the ball snapped, you just hear him yelling as he goes around the corner, and he pulls out, comes in, leads up in the hole, and just rocks that guy.
Yeah,
wow.
It was great.
So we could either pause the podcast and I can watch the video, or we could just
I'm pulling it up right now.
or we could just watch it afterwards.
So do you have any more stats?
I got one more.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to give you two teams. You tell me who has a better defense.
I might be able to guess this.
The Buffalo Bills.
The New York Giants or the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay, what metric are you measuring the defense off of?
Overall.
Fantasy points? Or?
Talking about fantasy points, or are you talking
about
scoring defense?
Like overall, like running yards per game, points per game, passing yards per game. It's broken down like that. No fantasy relevance.
Oh, okay.
It's just defensive-wise rankings.
Well, I think it's the Giants, because the Giants are surprisingly good, against the pass, and the Rams have been getting kind of gashed to the air.
So, you're right. If you had to guess where the Rams fell, with how much we've been talking about them having those 3 Pro Bowler corners, that nasty defensive line, where would you pick them?
Where would they fall?
Yeah, out of 32 teams.
No way. They're not that far down, are they?
I would think they're maybe like 21st.
By the way that you're smiling, I would probably have to say 28th.
Nah. You got to guess?
12th.
23rd.
Wow. Wow.
They're the statistically the 23rd worst defense in the league.
I mean, they got that high-powered offense, man. They're able to keep
Talib's
up
been
with
hurt too, so
Yeah.
that's definitely had an impact, a negative impact on that.
That
defense.
is a little surprising though that they're that far down, but
I guess with all them starters, you ain't got a lot of backups.
Yeah.
It's like if you got that many high-powered, high-paid players, you can't afford to have the best bench.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
All right, let's move on to this Thursday night game. Seahawks beat the Packers 27-24. I mean, really, any takeaways from you guys?
If you played that 5th string tight end for the Packers, good on you. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
We were all over that, man. We should have told him to pick him up, stream tight end.
Yeah, we totally just talked about that guy behind the scenes. Like,
yeah, we said it's probably
save it
not
for
even
our
good to
lineups.
make the podcast, so we'll save it for us. But if you started that guy,
right?
that was his first NFL catch.
Yeah.
51 yards, touchdown. Good on you, buddy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Aaron Jones is a must start every week.
Yep.
From here on out, you start Aaron Jones. He's the back to have there. We've been talking about him in multiple podcasts. We've been talking about him the past, 4 weeks back for 2 or 3 weeks straight. We've been talking about him on our waiver wire segment. And if you didn't jump on that and get a hold of him, you're kicking yourself right now.
Yeah. The other one was that I liked was Russell Wilson in the 4th quarter. Not the whole game, but in the second half mainly. He continues to show out in the second half.
He's always done that, too.
It's like the first half, man, I shouldn't have started Russell Wilson. But in the second half, you're like, thank God I started Russell Wilson. That and Doug Baldwin. I liked what I saw of Doug Baldwin last night.
Another takeaway I saw was we had talked about earlier this week, we didn't know what the Seattle running back situation was going to be. But Chris Carson's back. All that time, like, he took off. Like, we thought with, Rashad Penny, doing what he was doing, and Mike Davis having very good, solid carries, it would be more of a running back by committee. But Chris Carson had 80 yards and a touchdown. He looked good.
Yeah. He definitely did pretty good last night. I think he's going to be the guy. He's Phil's guy. So I think he's finally back. I think he's startable from here on out.
Just get in the car.
Hey,
Get in the car, son.
Crazy stat about Russell Wilson. I know I'm kind of late, but he threw 2 touchdowns yesterday, right?
Yep.
How many? All right, so they played a total of 10 games. How many games has he thrown more? Well, we'll say multiple touchdowns, 2 or more. How many games?
3.
Out of 10 games, how many games have he thrown multiple touchdowns?
10.
3.
I was going to say 3 as well.
9.
9.
You
It
look
was,
at his
either, it was
game.
either 9 or 10. I mean,
The way you said that, I just thought it was so low. So I was just like,
No.
And it's crazy because, like,
he's just been sneaky, man.
1 week he threw for 150 yards. We had 3 touchdowns or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. And, because I know that he hasn't really been putting up Russell Wilson type numbers.
It gets overlooked.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, because they've been running the ball so much. His passer rate, like I told you guys, he threw in 3 games. He only threw 60 passes, but he completed 40 of them
Yeah, wow.
in 3 game span.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like somebody's entire season of passing, like complete. That's like somebody's 1 game of passing, like
Yeah.
60 attempts.
Like Andrew
Yeah.
Luck.
You know what I'm saying? He did that in like 3 or 4 games. I mean, they don't pass the ball a lot anymore because they're so committed to the run game.
Yep. So he's having
And
he got drafted early, so he's not having like that great
Right.
year, but he's having a solid year.
yeah, he's been solid the last few weeks too. He's been a lot better these last few weeks. Now, something about the Seattle, they're 5-5. Like they're sneaky good, man. And I think it's because of that run game. Like
It is.
it's that's smash mouth football right there in the run game. That's the way that you establish that run. The pass will open up later in the game, and that's what they're doing.
Yep,
I like it.
absolutely.
Let's do these starts and sits.
All right, who wants to go first? Quarterbacks. I'll go first.
Do it.
Who wants to go first? I'll go
Who
first.
wants to go first? Me. So the waiver wire show, I said to pick up Dak Prescott. If you did, you better start him.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons, they are like dreadful in every like aspect of defense. And Dak, he's not going to, blow you away with like a crazy game, but he is a quarterback that you could plug into your lineup. It's going to be a safe floor.
Yeah.
And that game, it has some shootout potential because it's at Atlanta, and Atlanta plays a lot better at home than they do on the road. So I like
Absolutely.
Dak.
And Dak Prescott has actually been putting up some fantasy relevant games here the past few games. Like he's finally found out how to play football again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my start is Deshaun Watson. They're playing at Washington, and then over the past 4 weeks, Washington has been the fourth. They've been the defense to give up the 4th most points to quarterbacks. And with Deshaun Watson, he's coming off of 2 pretty solid games and then the bye.
Yep.
I think he's got the potential to really light it up this week.
Yeah, I like Watson because here's the thing. I feel like I think his previous like 2 or 3, he only had like 20 to 25 pass attempts. He really didn't pass the ball that much. But I feel like against the Redskins, he's gonna be asked to do more because I think Lamar Miller is gonna be a non-factor in this game. So I
Yeah.
like that.
All right.
I'm going with Eli Manning against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Buccaneers are garbage. And it's just like whose garbage smells worst, I guess. So Eli is pretty much garbage throughout the whole year, but this year his garbage is not going to stink that bad
This
against
week.
the Bucks. So I think he gives you a pretty good streaming option if you have a tricky start. Eli can plug you in there and give you a couple touchdown passes this week against Tampa.
Yeah. What do you got, Tyler?
I got Andrew Luck. For the last 6 weeks, he's not thrown.
Hold on. If you're not starting Andrew Luck,
You got a problem.
there's something wrong with you. You got issues out there. Like if you're not starting Andrew Luck,
you either got Matt
better
Ryan
have
or Drew Brees.
yeah,
or
you better
Clark-
have one of those guys.
Well, I mean, he's not thrown less than 3 touchdowns the last 6 weeks.
He's been killing it, man.
He's been killing it, and he's played against some good defenses with, like, Houston, New England. Buffalo has a sneaky defense, and Jacksonville. So he's playing against Tennessee.
Real quick, you got another one?
I mean,
Do you have another start? Like not a guy that isn't, like, I wouldn't say a every game starter. Like, do you have a sleeper
Josh
pick?
Rosen
Okay.
That's-
Okay,
that's
I like
one
that.
Yeah,
against Oakland.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oakland's
Yeah, I
got
mean,
another
Oakland
shaky
really,
defense
really,
there.
you want to try to start anybody against Oakland.
Yeah. All right. So, and like I said, to start the podcast, we're gonna eliminate the Kinder's Kings just for today. And here's what we're gonna do. So we each have our starts. Let's just rank. Just in order and who we would start. It's like most preferred to least preferred.
Well, right now I'm definitely going Andrew Luck number one. If he's going with Andrew Luck, then I'd pick Andrew Luck to be number one out of those quarterbacks.
All
for
right.
sure.
Who would go 2, 3, 4?
2, I would go with Deshaun Watson. 3, Dak, and 4, Eli.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with a little bit of that. I'm going Andrew Luck, then I'm going Dak Prescott, and then Deshaun Watson, and then Eli.
Yeah.
See, I'm actually going Andrew Luck, Eli, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep. So I think we all agree. So Andrew Luck's 1. I would go Watson barely ahead of Dak.
Really?
So yeah, I'd go Watson, and that's interchangeable.
I mean, I think
I just like the weapons that he
understand
has.
I can understand where you're coming from with that because Watson is the better quarterback.
Yeah.
But I just like Dak's matchup this week.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, let's do. Who are we sitting at quarterback?
This is every week for me, man. I'm sitting Matt Stafford. I'm sorry. The last couple games, he's been getting beat up. Nobody wants to block for him, and he's been throwing multiple interceptions every single game. So these hits are taking a toll on him, and I just don't think it's a safe start.
Yeah, I agree, man.
It's been a rough patch since Calvin's been gone, man.
Yeah.
As soon as Megatron gone, he just
It's been he was like a top 5.
yeah.
And now people are dropping him. You know,
Yeah.
so
He's on the waiver wire in some of my leagues. And I'm not even thinking
not
about
even
picking
thinking
him up.
about it. Yeah.
No.
All right, so I wonder if I can get through this one without some boos from Dan. Dan, you kind of contain yourself over there. Just let me speak.
You want me to
Okay.
leave?
If you have a better option, I would sit Mitch Trubisky. Versus Minnesota, over the past 4 weeks, Minnesota has let up the fewest amount of points to quarterbacks. And that includes Matt Stafford, who Matt Stafford went 199, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And Drew Brees, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, if they're able to contain somebody like Drew Brees, I think that they can get it together and contain Trubisky as well. So if you're on the fence with Trubisky and somebody else, go ahead and sit Trubisky and go with your other option.
Yeah.
Now, if Trubisky's all you have, you got to start him. But,
Yeah. So I'll say that when in the league I do have Trubisky. I actually saw Dak Prescott out on the waiver wire, and I was so close to picking up Dak, but I stuck with Trubisky. I think it's just because of the man crush.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I mean, just like you said, man, Dak has like the best matchup, probably of the week for quarterbacks.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mitch probably has one of the worst matchups. So yeah, I agree, man.
My sit's going to be Blake Bortles. People have a tendency when Blake has a good game to start playing him. He's playing against the Steelers, and I really don't think he's going to have a good game at all.
Is it in Pittsburgh?
No, Jacksonville.
Okay, it's in Jacksonville. Okay.
And the one thing, because I looked at that one as well, Blake Bortles, and a lot of people are going to get all excited because Pittsburgh's got this green number next to their name in Yahoo Fantasy Leagues, and green is always good, right? But the problem with Pittsburgh is they're kind of getting it together.
Yeah.
And they've been really, really stingy to quarterbacks these last couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, I just, with Leonard Fournette coming back, the focus point's going to be on him. Blake Bortles, it's an outlier game. We've seen what he does all season. If he has that outlier game, usually the next week he throws 3 or 4 interceptions. So I think it's a must sit.
Yeah.
And just to add on to Blake Bortles, 3 career games, including the playoffs against the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1 touchdown, 5 picks. Yeah, not exciting.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I'm not excited.
So
I don't like it one bit.
my sit's Andy Dalton. Especially if AJ Green doesn't play. If AJ Green doesn't play,
And even if he does play, he's not 100% healthy. So
yeah, absolutely. And they're going to Baltimore. Baltimore is
Yeah.
desperate. You know, week 2 they pretty much got embarrassed in the first half by Dalton. I think Baltimore's going to come out hungry, and you know, if AJ Green's not on the field, like it's going to be bad for Dalton.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Ravens got a pretty good defense, and you know Dalton without AJ Green has not been the same. So I
Yeah.
agree.
All right, so out of the 4 we mentioned, so Mike, you said Trubisky, I said Dalton, Phil, Stafford, and Tyler said Bortles. Who wants to go first? Out of those 4, who would you most likely would play if you had the choice of those 4?
Trubisky.
Okay.
I play Trubisky number 1 out of all of them
Yeah.
if I had to.
Andy Dalton.
You play Dalton?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd sit them all. No, honestly, I would go with Trubisky just because of his running ability. Maybe he can get you some sneaky points with maybe a rushing touchdown. Lately he's been using his feet a lot to make some things happen. So that would be the only thing I could see out of this. Yeah.
Yep, I'd do Trubisky. I would do probably Stafford too, and then Bortles, Dalton. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I won't even think about either of them. All right, let's move on to our running back starts. Who wants to start that?
I'll start it. Derrick Henry against the Colts.
Ooh, you're not gonna like that
Derrick Henry. What do you mean?
if it pans out. I'm saying.
Yeah.
And look, Derrick Henry is a freak of nature. There's probably nobody in the NFL that could tackle him one-on-one. And I think he finally caught his groove. And he's going to be utilizing that offense even more. And he's going against the Colts. And, you know, he's going to get probably a lot of goal line work.
Yep.
Can I quote Lee Corso here and say not so fast?
Not so fast.
Not so fast.
Where's your pencil?
Ooh.
I don't have a pencil. I don't know, man. I have Derrick Henry. He's been nothing but a letdown ever since I've picked him up,
And including last week because he was probably on your bench,
he
right?
was on my bench. Why would I
Yeah.
start him?
So that's a letdown
Here's
as
my
well.
thing. It's a good thing when he's getting touches, but I don't even. How many touches did he get last week, Tyler?
I think he only got he got like 11. I think it was like 11.
so he
touches.
got 11 touches, and Deion Lewis probably like doubled that.
I think Deion Lewis got like 20, if I'm not mistaken.
So he gets 20 plus receiving touches. It's hard to start that. It's hard to start Derrick Henry when it's only been 2 games and it's this late in the season, and you thinking about the playoff picture, like these games could win or lose you. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a safe start to me.
I don't think Deion Lewis is going to have a huge game. I think if any running back from them is going to be Derrick Henry, the game's going to be close. They're going to get down into the red zone. You saw last week how Leonard Fournette was in the red zone against the Indianapolis Colts. I believe Derrick Henry is going to tuck his head forward and he's going to just bulldoze and get you. He might have 10 yards, 12 yards, but he could have 2 touchdowns.
But here's my thing. I'm thinking that the Colts are going to be up in this game big. That's what I'm predicting. I'm
Yeah.
predicting Andrew Luck to throw all over the Titans, and for the Titans have to play catch up, and Derrick Henry be like
Yeah,
not
Deion
even.
Lewis is going to be your guy.
That's my whole thing because
Yes.
it's easily that can easily happen because Mariota could throw some interceptions and turn the ball over constantly. It doesn't have to be just Andrew Luck. I mean, I think that Mariota's had a couple decent games, but I don't think he's that
And-
great. And this is a
and-
division rivalry too, so it's not.
So the big difference between last week was they were actually up, and they were up decent.
Yeah.
And that's why Derrick Henry was getting those carries on the goal line.
Yeah.
Because, they were up. I think I think with what Phil said, like if they're down, they're going to be relying on Deion Lewis. And even last week, Deion Lewis did out-touch him by double.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Deion Lewis had 22 touches and Derrick Henry had 11. So
And here's
I
the
want
thing
the
now.
guy. I want the guy that's touching the ball more.
And if now, Tyler, if they are at a close game, I can see him getting some goal line carries. But what scares me about Derrick Henry is because you watch the first half of the Patriots and Titans game last week. Deion Lewis got like 6 carries in the red zone, and Derrick Henry wasn't even. It was still on the sideline. It's just to me, it's a risky start. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? It's just I wouldn't want to bank a playoff picture based on starting Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, but then again, if he goes off and he's on your bench, it's gonna be bad. It's to me, it's a bad
It's
situation
tough.
to be in.
Yeah, it is. It's a very tough situation to be in.
All
I
right.
agree.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I got Alex Collins versus Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So Cincinnati in the last 4 weeks has given up the most points to fantasy running backs.
They've been getting gashed.
They've been getting gashed. And to be honest with you, Alex Collins in the last 4 weeks have actually been kind of turning it on. Now, he hasn't had outrageous numbers, but he's also faced 4 of the toughest defense against running backs out there. Mm-hmm. You know, so he's been putting up solid numbers, like 10 points against these really tough defenses to the running back. You know, and so I think this week against a really, really a better defense, I think he's going to put up big numbers this week.
Yeah, his matchups coming up in the next few weeks are so forever in his favor.
We
Absolutely.
talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
before. Yeah.
I think he definitely. You ride this guy into the playoffs. I think,
And
he gets you
if
there.
Lamar Jackson starts, what does
That
that do to his upside? I
that
think that's
read
just-
that read option is, I mean, it can either hurt him or help him. I mean, because Lamar Jackson could get a lot of carries, and you never know. This situation in Baltimore is something I really want to take a look at this weekend.
All right. You want to go next, or you want me to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it. I like Dalvin Cookies. That's my dude, Florida State.
That is your dude.
That
He showed that he still has the burst and he's got the top end speed. I think with a week off, he gets healthier and he's gets back into the football shape. I think he has a solid game this week. I think they utilize him more in the passing game, and he gets you some good stats.
Yep.
1 million points is what I'm predicting for Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, all kinds of cookies.
Like a 110-yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got,
We're
Dan?
gonna go to the CFL.
All right, so this is not going to be like a must start, but if you are in a bind and you need to pick someone off of free agency to start, Theo Riddick. So the Lions are down Marvin Jones and Michael Roberts.
And Matt Stafford.
And yeah, like mentally maybe.
Yeah.
So when Theo Riddick was healthy, last year, 2 years ago, he was actually one of the goal line threats for this team, and I just feel like the Carolina Panthers are going to come out. I mean, they got smacked around last week. They're going to come out and make a statement. They're going to be down. I feel like the Lions are going to throw the ball, and with their offensive line being bad, Riddick might benefit from that.
Yeah, I hear that.
All right, so out of those 4, obviously we're gonna either play Collins or Cook 1-2. So what do y'all think about who would y'all play, Collins or Cook?
I like Collins first.
I'd like Cooks first.
I
You want to switch?
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll switch.
I'd play Colin. I don't like Cook this week. They're playing against the Bears
Oh,
and
yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So
I would go Collins because I really think if Lamar Jackson plays, I think that his upside goes to the roof. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, like Phil said with that read option, all they got to do is run the ball with Jackson a couple times, do a misdirection with Collins, and that's going to be wide open, man.
All right, so Riddick or Henry, who would y'all play out of those two?
Oh,
Man,
I'd play
man.
Henry. I'd play Henry
I
over
would too.
Riddick. I think. Yeah.
I'd definitely play Henry over Riddick. I didn't even think.
With all that hate that we gave Henry too.
Yeah.
Well, because I don't think my whole thing is with Theo Riddick is I believe Kerryon Johnson can do what Theo Riddick does.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
agree
whole
with
thing.
that.
But they do utilize him, but I think that Kerryon Johnson could be just in that spot as well. So.
Yeah.
I'd do Henry just because of the touchdown upside.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, all right, let's go on to some of these sits. I'll start with this. I'm sitting Peyton Barber.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, the Giants are, just like you said earlier in the podcast. I mean, they're a bad football team. The defense they're not great, but they're decent. And, the Buccaneers are not a good running, football team. And it's going to be at New York. I'm never excited about Peyton Barber, so I wouldn't play him.
This game has the potential to be either a complete point scoring game or just like a 3-0 type of a game.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
it's either going to be a just touchdown after touchdown or missed field goal after turnover after sack, fumble, safety. I don't know.
All right,
Yeah.
who's
Don't
next?
like it.
I'll take it next.
Hey, go ahead, buddy.
I got Jordan Howard against Minnesota. There hasn't been a running back. I think the stat said that Todd Gurley was the only running back to eclipse 63 yards against Minnesota.
Man,
So
man.
I don't like a running back going against Minnesota unless he's a stud, and I don't think Jordan Howard's really that stud right now.
Last week he had a great matchup against the Lions and got 20 yards rushing.
Yeah, right.
Don't play this guy.
Yeah,
Like, your chance to sell him is gone. Well, if your trade deadline is still
yeah.
ours is passed, so yeah, he sucks.
Who you got, Tyler?
I'm sitting any Eagle running back. I'm sitting Smallwood, Clement, and Josh Adams. They're playing against the Saints. The Saints have the #1 run defense in the league.
Yeah,
I'm not starting it. And their run game, other than Josh Adams, has not been really anything to go for since J.J.'s gotten hurt. I'm sitting every single one of them. They will make you lose a game.
What was it like just 3 years ago where if you had a running back, you wanted them against the Saints? Like, it didn't matter who it was.
Oh yeah,
Like, you were starting a running back against the Saints,
it
and they
wasn't
have
too long
turned that
ago.
around,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
Yep. I'm sitting Lamar Miller. I
Good on
think
you.
it's just going to be a complete air raid of a passing offense in Houston.
Yeah.
All right, so out of those four, you got Howard, Barber, Miller, and pretty much any of the Eagles running backs. Out of those four, who would you most likely play if you had to choose?
None of them.
I would probably play Lamar Miller out of all of those. Like, I mean, it's hard because you'd want to sit all of them. But if you had to, I think if I had these four running backs on my team,
Like if it's like a flex.
and I had to start one of these four in my flex, it would probably be Lamar Miller.
I would agree.
I would take Jordan Howard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that one.
It
shot.
would
Just
be a
because
toss-up.
it's a home game and a goal line carry could change something. That's about it.
You could actually look at Jordan Howard's career against the Minnesota Vikings. He actually runs pretty well against them.
Yeah.
So, but this year is different. I mean, he just looks different to me.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with Peyton Barber.
Okay.
because of what Phil said. I mean, it could be points scored everywhere on that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so So before we move on, you said any Eagles running back. Say if you had the option of Adams or Smallwood, who would you play, or even Clement? I don't think Clement would be in an equation for
Josh
me.
Adams.
Yeah, Josh Adams is your guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he might be okay this week, but it's such a roll of the dice, and I'm not one to take any risk.
Yeah.
I try to stay as safe as possible.
Right.
And it's like I said, it's such a roll of the dice on that one.
Who's
You know, the
the-
last time I called out the Eagles running backs and said bench all of them, they combined for 3 points.
Yeah, yeah.
The famous Eagle is Vince Papale. Vince Papale, right? Yeah, from
Papale.
the Invincible.
Yeah.
I'd start him before those.
Start him.
Nice. All right, let's go to wide receiver starts. I'll start this. Amari Cooper. He's pretty much become just a guy you got to put him in the lineup. Like,
Did we ever see this coming? I mean, think about
crazy.
what we were talking about a few weeks ago. Amari Cooper, sit this guy, bench him, trade him, get
Yeah.
rid of him, own him,
First-
start him, sling it. Like,
Sling.
that's how I
That's
feel. I mean,
crazy.
first 2 weeks in Dallas, 18 total targets, and I mean, my start was Dak Prescott, and who's going to benefit?
Yeah,
It's going to be
absolutely.
Cooper.
Yeah.
okay, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Okay.
I'm going with Golden Tate versus New Orleans Saints,
Yep.
and I think last week he was pretty much just eased into the rotation.
Yep.
I think he had 4 targets. I think he can double those this week, and if he doubles them, he could do well over 100 yards, or just under 100 yards and a touchdown or something. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that. And then you really anybody against the Saints, you're wanting to throw a wide receiver in there because
Yep.
they're basically the worst against the pass. So.
Yep. Especially the slot, and that he's one of the only slot corners I really know in the NFL is P.J. Williams, but I don't hear any good things about P.J. Williams. So whoever plays the slot, which is going to be probably Golden Tate, he should have a really good game, a bounce back game for sure.
Yeah, and then with how good that rush defense is, I think the Eagles are going to know that, and I think they're going to game plan to that passing game.
Yep.
Okay.
All
I'll go with Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp being out, Robert Woods picks up the targets and has a pretty solid game.
Guy I'm starting is Tyler Boyd.
Okay.
And the reason I'm starting him is because back in week 2, A.J. Green had 3 touchdowns in one half. A.J. Green's not there. The Bengals and Ravens always play each other, and there's always high points scored. Tyler Boyd has the ability, out of all the receivers, to do what A.J. Green did. I'm not saying he's going to have 3 touchdowns and a half,
Yeah.
but he could definitely go for 100 yards and a touchdown this week, and I really think that's what he'll do.
Yeah, and the thing with Boyd, I know the Ravens have 2 really good corners, and Brandon Carr and Jimmy Smith. Boyd, I think he played majority of his snaps in the slot. So if that is the plan for him this week, then yeah, it's going to be a good play. All right, let's recap. So Golden Tate, Amari Cooper, Robert Woods, Tyler Boyd. I mean, that's 4 good options. Who was your most favorable one?
Probably Amari Cooper.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
I'm going Robert Woods
I'll go Woods.
because I think he benefits a lot with Cooper Kupp being down. I think Robert Woods will put up big numbers this week.
What do you think, Phil?
I like Robert Woods. I really like the Golden Tate start, honestly. I think I'll go Robert Woods, Golden Tate, Cooper, and then Boyd.
All right, I'd go Woods, Cooper, and then I'd probably go Boyd, Tate, probably. Yeah. I like Tate though, I really do.
I like that matchup.
I would
I'm more
go-
maybe it's just my curiosity. I want to know what they're going to do this week with him.
I would go Woods, Cooper, Tate,
And Boyd.
Boyd. Yeah.
All right, let's get on to some of these sits.
All right,
So-
who wants to start?
I'll start. I think you said Kenny Galladay this week.
That's interesting.
All attention is going to be on him. There's no Golden Tate. Marvin Jones is out. Kenny Galladay has not been able to do it with even just Marvin Jones in there, and that's with somebody, the focus taken off of him. All the focus is on Kenny Galladay. He's going to just have a horrible game.
All right,
I definitely see that. With Marvin Jones being out, like, who else is there? Like, who else are you going to guard? Like,
Hey.
Michael Roberts.
No, he's out.
Oh, my God.
I said that earlier in the podcast, but you weren't listening, I guess. You were probably researching. But, hey, crazy stat on Galladay. First week, he was over 100 yards receiving. How many times has he gone over 100 yards since?
2.
0?
5.
0.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll just give him some credit.
Yeah, crazy.
He juked me.
That's right.
He juked me. With the whole Russell Wilson thing, it really threw me off.
All
Oh,
right,
you're just
so
scrambled.
my sit at wide receiver is going to be Devin Funchess. And the reason on that is look at his stats ever since Greg Olsen has come back. Ever since Greg Olsen come back, like Devin Funchess is sitting at like four fantasy points. 3, 4, it's something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that his targets are going down because of Greg Olsen, and I think it's going to continue.
Plus, McCaffrey is like a beast right now.
Yeah,
Goodness
and I
gracious.
think they're really trying to get DJ Moore more involved too in the offense.
DJ Moore, more involved.
More involved, yeah.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
More involved.
Yeah, I'm sitting Allen Robinson this week. Going up against Xavier Rhodes, Minnesota's defense. I just don't like the matchup. I think Xavier Rhodes could definitely shut him down. There's other options available for the Bears to throw to. I don't think Robinson will get his fair share of targets like he did last week.
Gosh, I mean, this is a whole bunch of sit on the Bears, man. Like, I'm getting worried about Trubisky, man. Like, but all right, let's recap. So Funchess, Oh,
Who
wait.
are-
Oh,
who
what's
are you
mine? Hold
sitting?
on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we,
I was-
we kind of forgot one.
Sorry. I'm sitting Cortland Sutton. When
I was actually thinking about that one, man.
Yeah, like when Demaryius Thomas got traded, like so many people like went and picked him up, and they were expecting like some great things out of him. I know it's only been 1 week, and they had the bye last week, but if Emmanuel Sanders still plays his slot role and Casey Hayward shadows Sutton, I don't like that matchup. So
Yeah.
I think out of all those people, I'd probably start Cortland Sutton.
okay,
You know what, Dan?
It's
You know what the
actually-
funny stat is? Every single one of your sits, out of everybody I would start, I've said I would probably start every one of your sits.
yeah, you actually did, yeah. So I
See
would.
favoritism. A little bit.
I would probably, out of these four, I would say Galladay just because they have no options, and maybe he would just get, 10 to 12 bad targets and make something out of it.
And that's hard. That's hard to kind of judge on that because,
Yeah.
like somebody's got to get some points. But it's
Yeah.
I do agree with what Tyler was saying. So like that's a toss up, really.
I don't like it, though. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
I
Like,
think the targets will be there. It's just what he can do with them. Because, like y'all said, he has to throw it to somebody. And I think the targets will definitely be there for him. I just don't believe that he'll be able to do anything with them.
it was either Galladay or Robinson. That would be on 1-2 if I had to pick. I don't like anybody from this list. And then I'd probably be Funchess Sutton to round it up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So who
Tight
all
ends?
has the tight end start? Am I the only one with one?
I
I
mean,
got one. I'm not crazy about it.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this one because of my hatred for him on the last podcast that we had on Monday. I'm starting Evan Ingram. He's going against Tampa Bay.
You're going back on your word.
I'm going a little bit back on my word because in the last podcast I said if he doesn't do anything this
You were
game,
going to drop him.
I'm dropping him and I'm picking up
Hurman.
or Vance McDonald.
You didn't do that.
And then I went and I looked at Evan Ingram's matchup this week, and I just can't do it. You can't not start a tight end against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay produces number one tight ends.
Yeah.
Like to the other team.
Yeah.
I'm like that's what it is, and I think Evan Ingram could have a chance of a big game this week.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, going up against Tampa, you got to start him. I mean, if you got Sterling Shepard, start him. If you got Wayne Gallum,
No,
Start him.
Don't do that.
Don't
Saquon's going to put up monster numbers and get pulled.
he's gonna get pulled at half.
Wayne
Put it
Gallum.
first quarter.
Yeah, don't play Wayne Gallman. Maybe DFS. Maybe if you get lucky on DFS.
I got one that I think is going to be a sneaky start. Is Seals Jones from Arizona
I like
going
that.
up against the Raiders.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think him and Allen or Josh Allen. What was his name? No, Josh
Rosen.
Rosen. Sorry,
Wrong Josh.
wrong Josh. Same.
Joshing me?
That was a little bit pulling your chain, a little check your chain. I think with Rosen and him are getting a little more comfortable and going up against a terrible all-around organization as the Raiders. I think that's a solid start if you don't have anybody.
Yep. I'm doing Jordan Reed. Looking at the Texans, I thought they were like really bad against the tight ends, but they're kind of middle of the pack. But I credit that to they really haven't played that many like great tight ends, and Jordan Reed is not great, obviously. The only thing is in his favor is that he's due to get a touchdown. He hasn't scored since week 1.
Yeah.
So.
I like O.J. Howard this week going against the Giants.
Yeah,
Enough said.
yeah. I mean,
Simple, like it.
all right. Out of those 4, so you had Ingram, Reed, Seals, Jones, Howard. Between O.J. Howard and Ingram is probably the
Yeah.
ones you would play.
Tied
Who,
for first.
Absolutely.
who would you
Yeah.
play?
I can't pick that one. Probably Ingram,
Yeah.
just because, like I said, Tampa Bay they produce number one tight ends to
Yep.
the other team.
If you're going Ingram, I'm going Howard.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Any sit? I mean, really, you can't really say sit any tight ends because it's so
Yeah.
the landscape is awful.
And that's what we've been preaching this whole time.
Yeah. All right. So next, let's actually talk about some like playoff strategy. I mean, we're a couple weeks away. Is there any like like key advice we can like let the listeners know?
One of the big things that I've done this year, and even in past years, and it's a little more extreme this year than it has been in the past, but around this time, actually a little bit sooner than this, really is when I really started. But I pick a couple defenses to take me through the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, I have 8 wins. I'm making the playoffs. Whether I get the bye or not is not concerning to me. What's concerning to me is that in week 14, 15, and 16, I have very solid matchups.
Yeah.
So in what I call my main league, in Brian's league, I have the Buffalo Bills, who play the Jets week 14. I have the Denver Broncos, who play Cleveland and Oakland, I believe.
Yep.
And then I have the Carolina Panthers, who play
They play Detroit.
Cleveland. They play Cleveland week 14.
Uh-huh.
So week 14, I'm looking to play against Cleveland. And week 15, no, my bad, Cleveland or the Jets.
Okay.
Because of Buffalo playing the Jets in week 14. So I have a decent matchup there. Week 15, it's against Detroit or Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because the Broncos play Cleveland week 15. And then week 16, I'm playing against Oakland because of the Broncos.
Yeah.
So
Good strategy.
those three teams are going to give me a very solid matchup throughout my playoff.
Yeah. What about handcuffs? How do you treat handcuffs like going into the playoffs? So let's say you are pretty much in the top 4. You're kind of in a solid spot to make it. Do you like pick some of these handcuffs up and just stash them on the bench? Do you play like the defense card? Like what would you like? How would you kind of handle the handcuffs? Like say for instance, like Malcolm Brown, Spencer Ware.
That's exactly who I was going to talk about is Malcolm Brown because I have Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm just looking at my team. I'm not trying to handcuff anybody that's on your team.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to handcuff my team, and I have James White, Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, Dalvin Cook. Latavius Murray's already scooped up. So I look at my number 1, Todd Gurley. I want to back him up with Malcolm Brown because Malcolm Brown showed some really athletic plays this year. And so I'm going to try to handcuff him. And I did. I dropped somebody. I don't even remember who I dropped. But I dropped somebody and I picked up Malcolm Brown just to ride my bench in case something happens to my number 1 running back. If something does happen, I have his backup and I'm okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you one piece of advice I have is that if you are like fighting to make the playoffs, sometimes it might be better to take a risk on playing a guy, because like for instance in my league or the league I have Mitch Trubisky, I could have picked up Dak Prescott, but I felt like I need to take the risk in playing him because he has a higher ceiling than Dak Prescott, and that's kind of what I have to have with this matchup, because I'm looking at the other team, and they have Ezekiel Elliott against the Falcons. They have Cam Newton against the Lions. I mean, he has great matchups. So, yes, Trubisky doesn't have a great matchup, but I've seen him put up, 3-4 touchdowns and get 60 rushing yards and just completely light it up. Whereas Dak, if you're in a position where you need someone with a good floor, then Dak is going to be your guy.
Yeah. What do you got, Tyler?
Man, I think this is the opportunity when you are making that playoff push and you're right on the cusp, like most of us in this room, don't make any rash decisions. Like, you're going to see, like, one week, let's say Travis Kelce put up 4 points this past week. By no means you bench Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And, but that's, of course not. But if you have a guy like, let's say Juju didn't catch that long passing touchdown.
Yeah.
And you have back-to-back weeks where he's not doing great. Don't make the rash decision. Just be like, hey, I can't play him, so I'm going to just throw in Mike Williams and Tyrell Williams or something like that. And then Juju's on your bench, and now he's doing what he used to do.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, stay within what you know. Also, like, you do want to play the players with the upside. So if you're on the cusp, you do want to play with the players with the higher upside.
Yep.
You know, and Juju is a guy with a high upside. So, you know, you really got to go for the big bang and go for them wins every week. So also to kind of follow up with the defense strategy, you kind of want to do that with quarterbacks a little bit too. You know, you want to look at your quarterbacks going into weeks. If you stream now, if you got a solid starter, you're good.
Yeah.
You know, but look at those streaming quarterbacks in week 14, 15, and 16, and maybe pick one of them up to go to kind of support who you have now.
Yep.
You know, and what really sucks about it is the Ravens have so many favorable matchups, and now we don't know who the quarterback is.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough.
Pick up Lamar Jackson. Yeah, serious. Like, if he plays, man, like, I told you, hey, that was an overreaction. Lamar Jackson will carry you to the fantasy title. Will he? Maybe not, but he has the potential, you know. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
All right, next segment, and the last segment, fantasy dud of the past. Who wants to start with this?
I want to start it because, like, this might just take everybody's off the table.
Gosh.
One of my fantasy duds, 2014,
Okay.
drafted number 1 overall in just about every single league, played 1 game.
I know who this is.
Yeah, I know you know.
Yep.
Tyler, do you know?
And it wasn't because of an injury either.
No, it
if I'm not
wasn't.
mistaken. Yep.
No.
No.
You said 2014?
2014, so 4 years ago. Played 1 game. Drafted number 1 overall.
Was it LaShawn? Oh, no, it wasn't.
Played 1 game, and then the reason he missed the other
It was an
15
injury.
games was not an injury.
No, it wasn't Peyton Hillis because that was 2012.
Come on. He's still in the league.
He's actually pretty good this year, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the year that he got that suspension for
With the kid.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
I really thought that would have jumped out. I'm surprised that it stumped you guys that long.
Yeah. Well, stump them, not me.
Yeah. But he, you know, he was the number 1 pick, man. Like he's kind of like a, and the thing that I said earlier, you know, you didn't have to hold on to him very long because you found out he was out for the year fairly early.
Yep.
You know, with Le'Veon Bell, he really hurt some people because you had to hold on to him for 10 weeks.
Yep. I'll go next with this one.
Please.
So 2016. This guy was definitely a first round pick. The previous year in 2015, he was rookie of the year. 1,000-yard rusher, double-digit touchdowns. You know, it was great. So he was coming off a great rookie year. Second year, averaged less than 4 yards. He averaged 3.2 yards a carry. Like, not even 1,000 yards. He had 880 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. He was a first-round pick, and he was a bust that year.
Bust.
Which year was that again?
Was he
2016. That's when he busted. So
2016?
he was rookie of the year 2015. 2016 he busted, and then you know he's obviously doing great now.
Why am I blanking on this?
I can't-
Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not too long ago.
I know.
Yeah.
I
know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
It's Todd Gurley.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. As soon as you say it, I'm like, that makes perfect
I picked him
sense.
up the next year in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was
That was
the
last year.
following year he won a lot of people some leagues because you got him so late.
Yep.
And I think you got him fairly
3rd
early
round.
too.
3rd
Like,
round.
3rd round. I think he was even going somewhat in the 4th round that year. So
Yep.
that's a good one. I like
I
that
went
one.
Yeah.
I can't
Zeke
believe-
and Todd Gurley that year.
yeah, that's pretty monstrous. I can't believe it took me that long though.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that only happened a couple years ago.
Right? Yeah. So who else? Anybody else got one?
I'll go ahead and shoot it right now. All right, 2006.
All right. Kind of magical.
2006. The years before, he was a monster, and he was definitely a first-round pick every single year from 2002, 2003, 4, 5, and 6. He was a stud, and then 2006,
Was he
pretty tight.
wide receiver, running back, quarterback?
RB1.
I think
Brian Westbrook.
I know it. I don't think it was Westbrook though. I think I know it.
And it was due to an injury.
Yeah, I think I know this.
You see, I have so many people that pop in my head, like Tiki Barber, but I don't know if he played then.
Yeah, I think he played. Well,
it is?
no, it's not Tiki.
Well, Dan knows who it is.
I think I know. I think it's one of two guys.
I can't think of.
Well, the first guy I'm thinking is Priest Holmes.
No.
All right, and the second guy I'm thinking is Sean Alexander.
Oh, okay.
Because that last year, I think we had like 30 rushing touchdowns. Or he had that crazy, like
The
28
years prior,
rushing
he had
touchdowns.
like
Yeah.
1,700 yards, 1,600 yards, 17 or 1,500 yards, multiple touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then he gets hurt like week 2.
Tyler, do you have one real fast?
I do have one actually.
All right, let's do this
From
and
year-
we'll wrap it up.
2000. It was from like 2000 and 2004. This guy had 6,289 receiving yards and 45 touchdowns. In 2004, he had 1,399 yards and 11 touchdowns. 2005 came around, 673 yards and 1 touchdown.
So pretty much 2000 to 2004
Not due to injury either.
2004 is a complete monster. 2005?
Just
Torrey Holt.
no.
Oh, man. Not due to injury either. I was thinking one guy. It's not him, though. I was Marvin Harrison.
Randy Moss.
Nope.
No. 2000.
Here, I'll give you a hint, right? Michael Thomas had a celebration that...
Joe Horn.
Yeah.
Joe Horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. He was really productive.
Yeah.
Aaron Brooks. Yeah.
All right, so that does it for us here at Overtime Fantasy. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sure if you're listening to this point, you are a every week listener. We appreciate you, especially you, and definitely you.
Hey,
All three of you.
before we wrap it up, just a reminder about the Jack Youngblood jersey giveaway. It's signed as blue and yellow. This thing is sweet. Like, all you need to do is follow our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook is at Overtime Fantasy, Instagram at Overtime Fantasy, Twitter's at Fantasy Overtime. Just like and share, and there's a website that you go to.
It's all over our Twitter, our Facebook. It's on Rafflecopter. You do certain tasks, you get a certain amount of entries for each task you do. Get it while it's hot. We are having a lot of people fill these entries up.
Absolutely. So, thank you for listening. Dan, you just nailed that little outro right there. You know, you didn't even stumble on any of our
I didn't.
pages or anything. That's great. Good job. Good on you.
Wow.
We didn't even ask him to say something.
We didn't ask
He
him
just
to
took
say
it.
He just did it. Way
Yeah.
to go, Dan.
Yeah,
I'm
so
so proud
Super
of you.
duper.
Stop putting pressure on me at the end
My
of
bad.
these podcasts.
Dan, you got something to say?
Note
Oh,
taken.
shoot. You put me on the spot, why don't you?
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.